25 short horror stories to fall asleep to. 1. The Whispering Man. There's an urban legend in my town about the Whispering Man. Supposedly, if you're alone at night and hear, you must never turn around. I always thought it was just another spooky story, until last year. It was late, past midnight, and I was walking home from my friend's house. The streets were empty, the air heavy with mist. Then I heard it, a faint whisper, just behind me. My blood went cold. I picked up my pace, heart pounding. "Keep walking," I muttered to myself. "It's just your imagination." Then, clear as day, a voice right at my ear whispered, "You should have turned around." A cold hand gripped my shoulder. The world went black. I woke up in my bed, drenched in sweat. My door was locked, my windows shut. But when I looked in the mirror, I saw fingerprints burned into my skin. 2. The Face in the Keyhole. When I was a kid, my grandmother had this massive, creepy old house. I hated visiting her, mostly because of the locked room at the end of the hall. One night, curiosity got the better of me. I crept out of bed and peered through the keyhole. At first, I saw nothing, just darkness. Then, as my eyes adjusted, I saw a pale face staring right back at me. Blood-red eyes. A stretched grin. I fell backward, screaming. My grandmother rushed in, pale as a sheet. "You looked, didn't you?" she whispered. I nodded, shaking. She sighed. "That room hasn't been opened in 50 years. Whatever's in there, it's been waiting." The next morning, the keyhole was filled with solid red. Like an eye, still watching. 3. My reflection moved on its own. It started small. My reflection blinked when I didn't. Tilted its head when I hadn't moved. I tried to ignore it, until it smiled at me. I ran. Left my apartment, stayed at a friend's place. But when I woke up the next morning, my reflection was in the bathroom mirror. "Let me out," it whispered, pressing its hands against the glass. I shattered the mirror. Moved to a new place. Avoided reflections altogether. But every now and then, I see something in the corner of my eye. A grin too wide. A tilt of the head. A whisper from the glass. "You can't run forever." 4. The Man in the Vents. Jason always complained about noises in his vents. Scratching. Breathing. We joked about rats. He wasn't laughing. One night, he set up his phone to record while he slept. The next morning, he looked sick. "I saw something." He showed me the video. Around 3 a.m., the vent cover slid open. A pale, thin hand reached out. Then a face. Sunken eyes, a grin too wide. It crawled out. Stood over his bed. And then, it turned to the camera and waved. Jason moved out that day. The apartment was sealed off. But sometimes, at night, I hear scratching in my own vents. And I wonder, did it follow me? 5. The Wrong Mom. When I was 10, I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of my mom calling me from the kitchen. I got up and walked toward the voice. The closer I got, the more something felt wrong. The tone wasn't quite right. Too flat. Too forced. I was just about to step into the kitchen when I heard my bedroom door creak open behind me. My real mom was standing there, pale-faced. "Don't go in there," she whispered. We stared as the figure in the kitchen slowly turned its head toward us. Unnaturally slow, like a puppet being twisted on a string. It smiled. 6. The Static Man. Our TV used to flicker to static at exactly 3:33 a.m. Always. No matter what we did. One night, I decided to stay up and watch. At first, it was just static. But then, it moved. A figure, barely visible in the distortion. Walking closer. I leaned in. My breath caught in my throat as a face emerged from the screen. Hollow eyes. A gaping mouth. It reached out a hand. The screen cracked. 7. The Thing in the Woods. We thought we were alone around the campfire, until something started mimicking our voices from the dark. At first, we thought it was one of us playing a joke, but the voices didn't stop. Even when we all sat together, accounted for, we could still hear someone, something, calling our names in our own voices. Then the whispering got closer. 8. The Shadow in the Closet. As a child, I was terrified of my closet at night. Every time I left it open, I swore I could see a shadow standing inside, just barely visible in the dark. One night, I left my closet door slightly ajar by accident. I woke up to the sound of breathing. I turned to look. The closet door was wide open. And something was standing inside, watching me. 9. The Passenger in my back seat. Driving home late one night, I glanced in my rearview mirror and nearly ran off the road. There was someone sitting in my back seat. A dark figure, unmoving, featureless. My heart pounded. I slammed on the brakes and jumped out of the car. But when I turned back to look, the seat was empty. I didn't drive alone at night for months after that. But sometimes, I still feel like I'm not alone in the car. 10. The Hands under my bed. I always slept with one foot hanging off the bed, until the night something grabbed it. It was ice cold. Long fingers, too many of them. I yanked my foot up, heart racing, and lay frozen in terror. Then, ever so slowly, something crawled out from under the bed. After a while, I went back to sleep thinking it was just a dream. I don't remember what happened next. I only know that when I woke up, my bedroom door was locked from the outside. And there were scratches on the floor, leading back under the bed. 11. The Closet. Every night, Daniel hears whispers from his closet. One evening, he finally gathers the courage to open it. Inside, a man stands there, grinning. "You're lucky I don't have the key," he whispers. The next night, Daniel hears his front door unlocking. 12. The Reflection. Lisa wipes the steam off the bathroom mirror and freezes. Her reflection doesn't move. Instead, it tilts its head and smiles. "I've been waiting," it whispers before stepping out of the mirror. 13. The Baby Monitor. New parents keep hearing static and faint laughter through the baby monitor. One night, they hear a voice whisper, "He's so cute. Too bad you won't see him grow up." They rush to the nursery, only to find the crib empty. 14. The Wrong Mom. A boy tugs on his mother's dress. "Mommy, the lady in my room says she's my real mom." His mother laughs nervously, until she sees a woman, identical to her, grinning in the doorway. 15. The Thing under the bed. A little girl tells her dad she hears breathing under her bed. He checks, smiling. "Nothing's there, sweetheart." As he stands up, she whispers, "I know. Because it just climbed into your bed." 16. The Peeking Man. Sarah wakes up at 3 a.m. to find a man peeking through her bedroom door. Terrified, she freezes. The door creaks open an inch more. Then another. Then another. Until she realizes she never left the front door unlocked. 17. The last call. A woman receives a call from her husband. "Honey, don't come home. There's a man in the house." Confused, she turns around only to see her husband sitting in their living room, smiling. "Who was on the phone?" he asks. 18. The basement scratches. A man hears scratching from his basement every night. Assuming it's rats, he finally checks. Carved into the wall, "Let me out." As he backs away, he hears a whisper behind him. "I heard you." 19. The wrong twin. A girl wakes up to find her twin sister staring at her. "What's wrong?" she asks. Her twin shakes her head. "I had a nightmare that you were taken." The girl frowns. "But I was." Her sister's face begins to distort. 20. The lullaby. A man hears a woman singing a lullaby in his baby's room. His wife is asleep next to him. He rushes in. The rocking chair is moving, but no one is there. The next night, the baby monitor catches a whisper. "Mine now." 21. The doll's eyes. A child gets a doll from a garage sale. That night, she tells her mom, "It blinked." Her mother laughs. The next morning, she finds the doll in a different spot, facing the child's bed. Its painted eyes are now hollow sockets. 22. The footsteps. Every night, Tim hears footsteps circling his bed. He finally sets up his phone to record. The next morning, he watches the video. At exactly 3:33 a.m., a figure crouches next to his bed and just stares at him. 23. The elevator passenger. James takes the elevator alone at 2 a.m. It stops on the 13th floor, a floor that doesn't exist. A woman steps in, facing away from him. As the doors close, she turns her head 180 degrees and grins. 24. The masked man. A woman is home alone when the power goes out. She grabs a flashlight and turns it on, illuminating a man in a mask standing inches from her. She screams and drops the light. When she turns it back on, he's gone. But his breathing is still there. 25. The countdown. A man wakes up to his phone displaying a countdown. 10 minutes left. He checks his security cameras. Someone is standing in his backyard. 9 minutes left. The figure tilts its head. 8 minutes left. It steps closer. 7 minutes left. He locks the doors. 6 minutes left. His phone buzzes unknown caller. 5 minutes left. The figure is now at his door. 4 minutes left. The doorknob turns. 3 minutes left. He grabs a knife. 2 minutes left. The door creaks open. 1 minute left. He hears his front door unlock.